And we're back with the Dr. Joe Show. Ladies and gentlemen, couples all around, pay attention. This is important stuff. You might actually want to get a pad and paper out too.
Yeah, I agree. It really is. It's so important, and it's crucial. I mean, communication is everything. You know, without communication, we wouldn't survive as a species. I mean, this was probably our greatest invention ever as human beings, was to figure out how do we communicate with each other, not to each other, not at each other, but with each other.
Yeah.
So we spoke a bit about that foundation. Where do we go next?
So from there, we drift. We move to money, which we call money. I stole from I can't remember the Motown group that did
Money.
Yeah. I can't remember. Oh, the OJ. It was the OJs. That's
Okay,
right. The OJs, who actually was a Philadelphia group for you. Anybody who's from Pennsylvania. I know, Mark, somebody mentioned Pennsylvania earlier. And then from there we go to parents and partners, and then from there to the bumping and grinding, which is our little riff on the sex stuff. But so money, of course, is one of those three for anyone, like I said, for anyone who's been in a relationship for more than 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Money is an issue.
Yeah.
Money is one of those places that we find conflict. Spending it, saving it, giving it, making it, hiding it, is a significant issue. And what we do in our book, which I think is different from, and there's a lot of books right on this shelf about self-help, relationships, communication, that sort of thing. But what we do that's different is that not only do we try to sort of talk about it, but we talk about it in a very personal way. And Julie and I went through some significant financial issues. One, which was caused primarily because we were stupid and we stuck our head in the sand and said, who cares? Well, we can buy that. We'll worry about it later. And the second, which was primarily driven by one of our kids who had some significant mental health issues. And we went and dug every dollar we could dig to try to help her. So, but we talk a lot about money and how you can sort of work your way around those issues in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had read this book, I don't know, at some point called The Secret. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that book.
Don't do it. It doesn't work.
Well, so the secret was all about like what you put out into the universe just works out. And it was great. So I took that principle to heart and I was like, oh yeah, we should just buy that because we'll find a way to pay for it. And like keeping up with the Joneses. And listen, when you have 4 kids and we live in an area that's, affluent-ish. And so there's, lots of things that you can do. You can do private school. You can make sure the kids have, soccer lessons and gymnastics lessons and competitive blah, blah, blah. And so we kind of got into that and we really got ourselves into a bad situation.
The funny thing is, right, that while we were believing in the secret,
the
people who were sending us the bills had nothing to do with the secret. There was no secret to them.
There was no
Pay the
bill. Yeah. So we sort of, there was a series. It wasn't just us believing that things would just work out, but there was a business decision that he had made that wasn't a great business decision, and blah 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 blah. So we're
bring that up again.
Yeah, we do. I call it a student loan. When you make a bad mistake that costs you a lot of money, I call it a student loan, right? Way to put it. Yeah, you learn from it. So we were struggling and we were trying to just figure out how to do it. And so we sat down and I got that book, Dave Ramsey's book, and it's money debt. I don't know. It was with a debt diet.
Total Money Makeover.
Yes, the Money Makeover. Yes, thank you. And I did the snowball thing. I made first of all, I want to say that I got the book out of the library because that was the first step. You don't buy it, right? Because buying is not in the debt diet kind of thing. So we got the book and I said, listen, this is what we got to do. We got to follow whatever this guy says and we've got to work on this. And we made some really big decisions and big like cuts and whatever. And he had bought me this beautiful mint green T-bird for my 40th birthday. And it was sweet. I mean, real convertible, it was great. I drove that thing around and it was great.
Sunglasses on, hair blown, and the whole nine yards.
It was a lot of fun.
It was worth every penny at the time.
So we had this car, and then I, of course, had 4 kids. So that was my second car, right? I had to have a bigger car. So anyway, we had to sell the car to be able to put, to help one of our kids get to a private school because she had special needs and whatever. So that was kind of like the beginning of like reality, like, you got to do some hard things. So that was one of the many, we have a chapter that's called Fun Till Reality Takes Your T-Bird Away.
Thanks to the Beach Boys for that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So, we just really talk about, what we went through, how we dug down as a couple, how we communicated, we fought, about this.
Yeah.
Like he was like, well, you need to stop doing this. And I'd be like, well, you need to stop playing golf and do it,
I mean,
tit for tat.
Yeah. So that gets into the other, and again, the book is broken down in all these conversations that we had, right? So that gets to this balance of power kind of idea, where if you think about, back during the Cold War, Russia had a stockpile of 5,000 nuclear warheads. So we had to have 5,002, right? And so it was after some amount of time, we started to figure out I started to figure out, because she doesn't read history, about history, but it was the same kind of thing, right? So I went to play golf and it cost me $60. So she would say, okay, well, you spent $6 on golf. I'm going to spend 70 going to Nordstrom. Well, you spent 70. I'm going to spend 8. And before you know it, it just doesn't end. It keeps snowballing.
Yeah. So anyway, that got us in trouble. So anyway, we share a little bit about that piece and about, money. But really money means different things to different people. I mean, that's the bottom line. In relationships, there's very few times that everybody has the same value around exactly how they should spend their money, exactly what money means to them. And therefore it causes, problems in relationships. And David sees it in his office. I see it in my office, and it's a biggie.
So the solution?
Talking about it.
Yeah.
That
being
bottom
open,
line.
Being open, trying to take a breath and take the time to be on the same page. Mark, you asked a little bit about, my practice as a divorce lawyer. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people who just don't know their financial circumstances, because my husband, my wife, they handle it. I use my card, I go to the grocery store, I don't worry about it. But you need to know. I mean, even if that works for you and your relationship, you should know what's going on. You should know where we have things, where we owe things, what our mortgage is, what our utility bills cost, that sort of thing. So it's not a bad thing. Some people think it's threatening, right? Well, she wants to know how much I paid for this or that, but that's silly. I think it's silly. I think being aware of what you have and what you need is a good thing.
And being honest about it, because there is a lot of deceit. People often don't know, or will say, "Oh, I didn't even know we were in such bad shape." Like, David has. There's a chapter called "The Repo Man," and this woman, had her car repossessed, and she didn't even know that they were not as wealthy as she thought she was. And it's difficult. So, having conversations about money, asking about money, and negotiating.
So it sounds like there has to be that first foundation, the communication and the trust, and then not to be ashamed if you don't have the money. The money isn't the only criteria for how much you are valued.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And people come to that issue very differently, right? I might have been raised in a family that didn't have anything. You don't want to listen to Abraham Lincoln. I walked to school with no shoes, that kind of thing. But I didn't. And our daughter is married to a young man who's amazing, but was raised in a very, very different culturally. And so things that she may have thought was nothing, he may have looked at and said, wow, that's really, that's a big thing to him.
Yeah.
and people, so people come to that from different places. And I think you need to realize that we aren't all raised in the same roof, under the same roof.
Yeah. And money is power, you know, in relationships too. And it can be. So that it plays out in that way as well.
It's interesting because there's so much value that we do not reimburse for. You know, I mean, Carol has been the most incredible mom. And that's why I'm blessed to say that we have incredible kids. And the government isn't paying for that. You know, who pays for that? I mean, but it's so much more than just money. And I think that's part of why value is so important. It's the core of the I am approach, that everybody wants the same thing. We just want to feel valued by someone else. And that is beyond just money.
No question.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
And so what I have is enormous value for my sponsors, because they do so much more for us than money could ever buy. They support us, they value us, and they are there every week for us. So with that in mind, I would like to show my appreciation and value them by taking our commercial break, and we'll be back with the Dr. Joe Show.
Stretch the